Good morning all. So we are just finalizing, allowing everybody to join physically in the room. I'm just checking. So we have quite a good number of participants. So first of all, thank you all for your interest in the pilot. Allow us just 1 or 2 minutes. So we are just finalizing the setup of the room. Okay, so let's start. We have the honor to have, so let me just, with us the Dr. Francisco agenda, so to also say some hello words. So we start the meeting. Yes, please.
Bom dia a todos. Eu gostaria muito de poder acompanhar ao longo desta manhã, por compromissos que não pôde alterar, não vai ser possível. Tenho a certeza que esta irá ser uma reunião produtiva e que ao fim do dia teremos todos, com certeza, mais conhecedores daquilo que é o projeto da EDGENEERING que vai aqui apresentar, já conhecemos, já estamos a participar em alguns deles. É fundamental hoje que introdução, aprofundando o uso das tecnologias na resposta genética que estamos a dar. Estamos a iniciar agora os primeiros passos, começar num projeto que nos é muito caro e que esperamos, não tendo ainda a expressão, já que gostaríamos de ter, obviamente que este é um processo evolutivo que está agora a arrancar, mas temos a certeza que cada vez mais a resposta que vamos dar ao nosso contexto, também fora daquilo que é, digamos, o espaço hospitalar, será no futuro a resposta, será no futuro a solução mais fácil e mais eficiente. Como digo, gostaria de estar aqui, até porque sei que tem trabalhado particularmente no âmbito da cooperação entre países e entre regiões. Eu estou ligado desde há muitos anos ao trabalho da cooperação transfronteiriça, particularmente com a região da Extremadura e o Alentejo, em projeto no âmbito do Interreg. Foi de facto um período muito estimulante e muito enriquecedor, permitiu-nos ultrapassar muitos constrangimentos que por vezes acontecem, obviamente, dentro do país e que entre regiões é possível chegar lá e é possível ter ao nível da planificação do ordenamento e da concretização. Este projeto nos traz agora aqui, mas depois, em contacto com o João ou com o Miguel, com certeza inteirar tudo o que isso vai passar e esperar que esta reunião consiga também ela aprofundar aquilo que é a relação que temos com eles, que no nosso balanço que fazemos atualmente é uma relação extremamente positiva. Muito obrigado e bom trabalho.
Muito obrigado.
Então, com licença.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. We are going now just so to follow up on the agenda of the meeting. We use it as a reference. We can adapt as we will go. But so we are planning to start already with 5 minutes late, but then to go until, let's say, 12:30 local time, more or less, if the agenda also, if time allows. As a rules, I already explained. So in terms of, please mute your phone, preferably when making questions. Feel free to do them, put them by in the chat. People here, of course, you can just raise your hand and please intervene. This is a workshop pilot. It's to be interactive also with the audience. After the presentation, it was done in Portuguese because it was especially for the team here, which it's more fluent. In any case, we are going also to have some slides with the hospital. The slides will be in English, but the presentation also will be in Portuguese again for due to the fluidity of the message. After that, everything will go to English. We'll be introducing the project AIMES for those which still do not know of the project and also the partners. What are the main results of the project? And then we'll do 3 demos for you to see live action of what the technologies can allow. It will be a mix of things which we'll be explaining afterwards. After you see what is AIMES, what is also the demonstration, we will reserve some time for an open discussion. This is to be very, very interactive as well with you. And then for the closing, we'll also show you what we took as a result of the AIMES, also for our next steps. Please. Sim, sim.
Bom dia a todos. Vou fazer uma pequena introdução do desenvolvimento do hospital, dos projetos também em colaboração com este nos últimos anos. Agradecer a vossa presença aqui hoje, falar um pouco do enquadramento do HESE. Tendo em conta aquilo que é o objetivo do hospital, também da construção do novo Hospital Central do Alentejo, e tendo aquilo que são as infraestruturas do hospital, o HESE tem feito uma aposta muito forte nos últimos anos a nível de modernização tecnológica e administrativa, tendo em conta a área de influência do hospital. É importante mantermos a par daquilo que são as inovações e conseguir também dar outro tipo de resposta no futuro, quando estivermos no novo local. Sendo assim, o hospital tem estado envolvido com a colaboração e com a tecnologia também desenvolvida pela EDGENEERING em várias frentes, nomeadamente projetos de índole europeia, financiados pela Comissão Europeia, sendo o Sphinx o foco a nível de cibersegurança, portanto, infraestruturas informática, e o Valkyries mais recente a nível de resposta, de melhoria de comunicação entre partes em caso de acidentes e desastres naturais. Falando mais especificamente de cada um, o Sphinx começou em janeiro de 2019. O objetivo principal, o use case, no qual o HESE também participou, seria a validação de um toolkit de segurança a quando de ataques cibernéticos, portanto, fortalecer aquilo que é o ambiente informático do hospital, tendo em conta também que os dados que o hospital preserva são bastante sensíveis, portanto, tudo aquilo que são dados de saúde é importante ter o máximo de cuidado e de segurança, portanto, o objetivo do projeto também passa por ter uma evolução daquilo que é a arquitetura informática do hospital, não construí-la de novo, mas melhorar aquilo que já temos, tendo em conta sempre o RGPD. Segurança para a melhoração de comunicações e a homogeneidade na comunicação daquilo que são respostas a desastres naturais. O use case em que o HESE está envolvido seria um desastre que imaginemos um incêndio na fronteira com Espanha. O objetivo principal seria, além de conhecer todos os regulamentos e forma de trabalho de ambas as partes, Espanha e Portugal, conhecer também e melhorar a comunicação entre o edifício HESE, portanto, a equipe interna e a equipa que se desloca ao local. Portanto, ter informação basicamente em tempo real daquilo que se está a passar, para introduzir então depois a resposta mais eficaz, saber se o hospital tem capacidade de resposta por aí. Tudo isto em colaboração sempre com a EDGE, também na hospitalização domiciliária, que vem um pouco também ao encontro daquilo que vai ser demonstrado a seguir, que é a capacidade de monitorização remota e resposta a situações de, por exemplo, alguma emergência. O que tem sido feito com a equipa da unidade de hospitalização domiciliária polivalente é, através do fornecimento de equipamentos ao hospital, a monitorização remota das pessoas. No caso de existir alguma situação que mereça resposta, a aplicação eCare dá esse alerta ao operador e, a partir daí, o hospital desencadeia a resposta, por exemplo, de deslocação à casa do paciente. Tendo em conta isto, o ideal seria, num futuro, onde a tecnologia assim permita ter uma resposta automatizada, ou seja, o próprio sistema reconhece aquilo que é a situação e descoleta uma resposta, tendo em conta aquilo que está a acontecer. Tendo isso em mente, surge a demonstração do piloto AIMES, que sugere um novo paradigma daquilo que é uma resposta a uma situação de emergência, neste caso, através de 3 demonstrações de chamada ao 112 e a forma como isso pode ser evoluído e no futuro ser uma coisa mais intuitiva e mais integrante, portanto, vários tipos de comunicação e não aquilo que temos hoje em dia, que, embora funcione, pode ser muito mais do que aquilo que é. Portanto, passo a palavra ao Marco e uma apresentação.
Muito obrigado, Miguel. Okay, thank you very much. So after the introduction then from Miguel from the Hospital of Évora, we are now switching to the introduction of the AIMES project. I hope the audio now would be good for you to hear and to follow. So what the AIMES project is, we are demonstrating capabilities for next generation emergency services. So when we call 112, we are adding the additional capabilities and channels to what we have now as basically what supports voice call. We want now to bring and support the latest technologies, which we can have something like a Skype or a WhatsApp, so we can put video, we can put chat, we can exchange data about a person. And in addition to, of convenience of choice, it's very important when we talk about people which have special needs, other than preferences. If deaf citizens reaching the 112, it needs to be something other than voice, obviously. And if we can make the response faster by sending data about the caller, so it's also a way to improve the way we respond to emergency services. This is what we will be showing you today. It's a very practical examples on what we are proposing with the AIMES. AIMES is a project which is funded as part of the EUROSTARS program from the European Union Horizon 2020. And it is a 2-year project, so relatively short for us to bring now solutions to market. That's the main goal. When you think about the challenges of the today emergency services, so think of still pretty much rely on things which were available to us in the past centuries. So wired phones, and we are missing the revolution of the apps of the smartphones in which so much can be brought. So citizens with smartphones can really make better use of how we reach the emergency services. We are still lagging on adopting the technology. I've mentioned that citizens with hearing disabilities, it's a real problem of what happens now, because there is no good way to reach and natural way for them to reach the 112, and it really it's an equal access to a critical service, which has. There are many apps, millions of apps, and it's a confusion of apps. So it's very important you are able to harmonize how also this diversity of apps can, in an harmonized way, reach the 112, because otherwise it's confusing and it will not work. So part of this project as well is to define this harmonized way for us in terms of the apps. It can be apps from anyone, but follow the design and the guides, and then the 112 will know how to work as well. Then we reach challenges which are related with roaming scenarios. So if a citizen from Portugal or Spain or Sweden or France, they are traveling and they go to a different country, will the app work as well? So we need ways also for this information to reach the proper place. And this is what we also been working. Something we experimenting as well is how to also reach the way that the emergency response can occur. If there is someone calling to the emergency services, it receives the emergency, and this information also being conveyed with the person which provides the response. And finally, we also work with public alerting. And public alerting today, it works, it's effective, but it's SMS, it's text-based. Can we do it better? Can we do it a more multimedia way, supporting also translation in a way that's also we can reach a better a number of people. So AIMES Innovation Offer, it's about trying all these new capabilities, bringing them together to the service of a critical capability on the 112, in which we are experimenting and demonstrating technologies. So improvements, routing of voice, of video and text. So any option which the user wants to use to reach the services, public alert citizens, apps which are made for citizens, made also for responders, in order to make the emergency more efficient and effective. And we are also experimenting, so something in which we are now bringing a world which is more connected, more automated, a lot of smart devices around. Can we also explore smart devices, what we call Internet of Things, which can also provide good information if there are any incidents or things which need to be urgent to respond. Pretty much of a good deal of work which we developed within the project. This is very busy. But it's just to give you an idea that these things really have a lot of pieces which are developed. We are bringing things from maps, from the core components, from the dispatch. We rely on something on a PEMEA infrastructure that gives us flexibility on how harmonized way we can communicate between the parts. On the left side, so you see the citizens with devices, with wearables, apps, with video and so on, maps which then can be forwarded through the PEMEA network, reach emergency services, and then on the other end, we have rich ways to see the citizens as well. So we need the people with calling center, which are able also to support video and all these new capabilities. And at the bottom part, so the responder, in which why not also to link to respondent who is doing the emergency rescue or intervention, also to be connected with these capabilities. So in a nutshell, this is the AIMES and the work we did around the 2 years. Now I would switch to Javi for the DevRel group.
No, it will be Bertrand.
Bertrand. Hello, Bertrand, can you hear us?
Hello. Hello. Good morning.
Hello, Bertrand.
Yes. Are you hearing well?
Loud and clear.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. But first, thank you, the 112 emergency service from Estremadura region, since we are in their infrastructure today. So I will first present everywhere. I hope that you are listening well. Yeah.
Bertrand, yes, perfectly.
Okay. So thank you, Marco. So just a quick introduction. Évora is a French group created in 2003 with headquarters in Paris and subsidiaries in the UK, Spain, Canada, Senegal, and Argentina. Company employ 140 employees. And since the beginning, the group has invested a lot on the research and innovation, with first creating a laboratory and also putting a methodology that support today the growth of the development in terms of new projects. Some of them are just in the slides. This is done through a methodology called protein, in which we are putting our partners, customers, immerse in the for participating in the design and development of our product. Next slide, please. So our main role in the AIMES project has been to provide the partners with a great flexibility of PEMEA framework to create new services that serve the scope of the project. As you said before, that we demonstrated in the previous pilot between Finland and Sweden. Also the communication between the 112 services and the first responders to improve emergency situational awareness, and also the ability to transmit an automatic alert through IoT devices, as we'll see today in the demonstrations. So from there, I'll leave you the floor, Marco.
Thank you, Bertrand. We now introduce Omnitor. Thomas, please.
Thank you, Marco. Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Geiger, and today I am standing in for Omnitor's team leader, Christer Ulfsparre. Omnitor is a tech company located in Sweden. We are 7 employees, and the turnover last year was about 1.2 million euro. Our expertise lies in real-time media using video, voice, and text communication. We are product and service developers providing media communication systems. We provide both the back-end and front-end parts of our projects using protocols such as ZIP and WebRTC. We have an app called Easy Touch, which you can see at the top right of the presentation. It is a communication application which have many functionalities to achieve inclusive communications for citizens with disabilities. It is used in Sweden mainly for deaf and hard of hearing people to make their daily calls. To the bottom right, you can see, you can go back to the previous slide, please. Thank you. It is used to the bottom right, you can see a dig room. It's a general meeting room service. It is intended to easily integrate into other IT systems that lack a video meeting functionality. It's a video meeting with high level of security and fully GDPR compliant, which makes it suitable for confidential or sensitive meetings, for example, between doctors and patients. Next slide, please, now. Our role in AIMES is to be responsible for the overall app development. We have provided the AIMES demo app with associated APIs. So as a third-party developer, you can use the demo app to find out what kind of services you could build using PEMEA. Today, you will see the iOS version of the AIMES Citizen app. It provides inclusive communications, meaning video, voice, and text communications, routing and sharing of data with PEMEA, and public alerts, which was shown during the last pilot in Sweden. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Now introducing Edge. Barbara, please.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm now introducing the Portuguese partner of this AIMES project, which is called EDGENEERING, or EDGE for short. So we are a technology-driven SME, a small company, and we are basically dedicated to the design of information and communication systems that have to leverage with this huge potential brought by the Internet of Things. So basically, we develop solutions using smart sensors and medical devices and all the IoT sensors that we are able to improve the solutions to provide actual solutions for people in terms of healthcare and well-being, public safety, emergency, and also the is divided in two main areas. On one side, we have adapted one of our core products, which is an e-health app that provides the remote monitoring of patients, to have the possibility to integrate automated emergency calls. And this is done not only with respect to the introduction of medical devices, but also the possibility to exploit the automated alerts coming from smart sensors at the home environment. So if, for example, a fire is detected, that also the system can trigger an automated response or emergency response that could save lives. And this will allow us also to provide, through this automated mechanism, relevant information on the victim and on the emergency to the emergency response. The other area that we are now developing in AIMES and that we are going to be showing today in our demonstration is the applications of first responders, bringing them into the loop of information and communication within emergency response and actually providing a solution end-to-end with respect to emergency communications. So this app will allow the emergency responder to be also with improved situational awareness during the response and will optimize the use of resources while performing this emergency response effort. So back to you, Marco.
Okay. Thank you, Barbara. Okay, so now we'll be presenting just an overview of the main results of AIMES. This is where you see what are the things that we've been developing in a very practical way, I hope. So some of the things, so this is just the slide with most text, just to introduce that we've been extending some of the capabilities within the project that we call the PEMEA infrastructure to support the multimedia, meaning that I can use video, text, and audio, and the PEMEA enables that this information can be transmitted over an standard which already allows so to reach the 112 answering centers and the roaming situation and so on. So chat and translation is also important, that when we have people which are in roaming scenarios or traveling, which has an emergency in Portugal, but he speaks Swedish. And in Portugal, will there be a person in the 112 which can speak and communicate in Swedish. So having translation can really help in the communication between the parts. Automated call is where we are experimenting. So how can this smart device also help? If I have a fire sensor, if I can trust the sensor, if it is very reliable, if there is a fire, why not reach the 112, for example? Or in our case, in a medical device, which can reach the team from the hospitalization tool that we have. So automatically to give this kind of push information, so to display it actively. Public alerting, I also mentioned, so if something happens and the authorities want to communicate, is also supported by this extension that was developed. And the dispatch of emergency response is also something that has been added. It's a new feature. You'll see it working, so not on text, but something more interactive. We developed mobile apps for citizens, and then we also developed apps for responders, also part of the work. I think it's interesting. This is a bit of a slide with some boxes and so on, but so what we have here to mention is that there is a test bed, a place in which we can put the services running, and we can try the things we are doing without affecting normal operations. It's important because as part of this learning process, we are putting new things, and we want to learn how these new things can really improve, or what we should improve in the things you are doing to better serve the end goal, so the users and the needs they have. We developed a number of use cases. This is where it describes things which can happen. So they are documented in the project. This can be freely shared with you. Just to give you an overview, so it's like, imagine a citizen which is looking at the traffic accident, can reach the 112, can take a picture, and this can become more understanding what kind of urgency and emergency it was happening. If there is a forest fire, the same. So I see a forest fire, I can reach the emergency service, I can put the picture, and then they can see the scope of what is happening. A deaf citizen which has chest pain, so if it is deaf, how can they reach the 112? You might think this is a joke, but in some years ago, the 112 on paper. I mean, how can this work in an emergency? You cannot write on a fax and wait for it. So we have to have better ways. So as part of this, to reach 112 with text, with video, or in any case, so with other mechanisms other than voice. So we'll be showing in here a citizen witnessing a crime, so how it can also help with the new capabilities. Citizens with autism, also how can the pilot be demonstrated. And okay, we'll be also in terms of use cases, things dealing with public alert and also IoT and automated calls. This is the overview of use cases. We have them described if you want also to look into it. You are very welcome. So, and as part of what is marked within the presentation is the things we've demonstrated on pilots. Pilot 1 and 2, pilot 1 was in Spain, pilot 2 was in Sweden, now pilot 3, this is what we'll show you today working. We'll be adapting some use cases just for you to know in terms of the storyline we'll be developing. So, but you'll see an overview of the things we are doing. Okay, some results. So again, what we've seen in Spain, I think this is the best way for you to see what was the outcome. So we had the situation of a hard of hearing lumberjack, which is also one which cuts the trees, and by mistake he starts a forest fire. So there is a Swedish citizen which uses the emergency app to contact the emergency service to report the incident. He's hard of hearing. This is very similar to what we will be demonstrating later on. And it will be a real issue when having a Swedish citizen which will not speak properly on voice, not communicate with voice. So it needs to have video, it needs to have text to effectively communicate. We also have translation to help with the communication process. Location is very important, is also transmitted, so where the incident is. And if the person can share a video of the incident, then becomes clear the degree of the incident. So this was demonstrated in Spain. Another demonstration was with a deaf citizen with chest pain. We've mentioned about, so if a deaf citizen has a health issue, an emergency, I mean, here, so it needs medical help. So with this system, so they can reach the 112 as well, they can put video, they can have access. It would require internet with new capabilities, and also the ability to, if they are able to make the sharing of information with the text, for example. This is the example on the bottom of the PSAP, the answering point. We'll be showing it to you. And if you want to look into more detail on the pilot, it's available online, and it's through the link which you can also access. In Sweden, the pilot in Sweden, we've made a bit of experimenting with public alerts and with automated calls. With public alerts, it is interesting because we reached the supplier of the public alert system in Finland, and through a collaboration process, so we agreed with them, make a public alert, and now through the PEMEA network, we can show it in a rich way to our users. So what we have is a Swedish citizen which goes to Finland, has the AIMES app, and then this was test environment, to be clear, so not to generate false public alerts, but then the Finnish supplier generated a public alert which was received by the Swedish citizen in Finland, and this is a bit of the output. So it has a text, has a bit of a more iconics to see there's a fire here, and then the location of the incident. It's about fire and toxic smoke, which then becomes, this is the area of alert. So it's not just an SMS, it's much more information. It's also put in, I think it's in Swedish, should be translated.
And translated.
Yeah, to ensure that communication works. We wanted to do a bit more to demonstrate again the capabilities. So other than this, the Swedish citizen Anna saw a case of an emergency, and also used the app put in video mode. So this would be the caller, and then the PSAP side, also the texting capabilities. And again, this is someone which would be in Finland, reaching the Finnish services. So it's quite interoperable environment. We also want to make the other way around, just to make the robustness of the system. Now we have a Finnish citizen which goes to Sweden, and then this is the real app they are using in Finland. It's from the suppliers. So, and this app then was with collaboration agreement. So let's see how AIMES can put the public alert being sent. So what happens here is the other way around. So the Swedish government, the public alert, and then the citizen, so the Finnish citizen was able to receive in Sweden the public alert through the official app. So it's, I think, no better way to demonstrate the interoperability. Okay, then I think Swedish was, we want to a bit on the edge of the latest things. So we also want, let's try with automated things. This is something we want to replay here in this pilot as well, because it's very close to the needs that we have with the hospital. So in which we have, in this case is Annabella, she's diabetes type 1, needs to be followed, the condition, but sometimes, I mean, they forget, they don't look so much on the symptoms, they can faint, and this is a real issue. If someone with this condition faints and there is no immediate assistance, things can go really bad. So what was the case is that we have the devices connected to eCare. The eCare uses the infrastructure of PEMEA and puts the alert on the answering point, which could be something which could have next to the team at the hospital to make this kind of a push alert, which then they would see the incident. So what we have is that, so the automated alert is made, the app knows what's wrong, sends the information to the PSAP. This is, let me see, on the PSAP, which then receives, this is the person which has the incident. It has a hyperglycemia problem. So you have the reading there, and then the responders know where the location of the person and can go quickly there. This is just the example. The app sends the information, appears on the screen. This is too small, I'm sorry for that. So, and then they just see so that who the person is, the telephone number, the blood glucose level comes from the device, and please help. Another thing we tried was with the sensor, smoke sensor. Many people die per year because of fires which start at home. So our idea, and sometimes they don't wake up because of the smoke, it can be too late, many things. So our idea was, okay, let's put a smart sensor. This needs to be reliable, of course. We don't have false alarms. So let's assume that when we can fully trust the system, we have a smart sensor which can detect a fire. It can give a local alarm, no one is responding, go to 112. And then the response can also be initiated. Middle is the kind of a hub. You know, the kind of things when we have smart homes and the thing which controls, allows to turn on lights and off. But in here we are a bit more useful because we are really trying to save lives with this kind of capability. And we developed a small, simple simulator just to, this was quite real to what in reality would work. Because a simulator will produce data as a normal device would do. Is caught by, it's an app which is adapted for a kind of a hub which we can put at home, which then reaches the PSAP with the information on the emergency. And the information is also available to you in the web page of AIMES, so it's all recorded. Okay, so this was just an overview of the overall what we've done in the past. Now what we are planning to do here. We want to show you the things we've been developing now in a kind of as close to live as possible, because we'll be in one room. We thought about having even cars and so on, which will be very nice, but it would maybe complicate the setting. Maybe in Valkyries or something, but in here we'll be going more conservative. But we could have done it, so because the flows will be over the connected environment. We are also involving the practitioners, very important also to have your feedback and impressions of the system. So what we'll be showing is basically we'll be showing the emergency apps for citizens. Two of the pilots will be using the AIMES app, which will then use either video, chat, or translation. There will be different settings. We'll be showing you the importance of roaming, because as we are putting things more digital, you will see that it's then changing the country might not, you cannot ensure that the data will go to the point where it should be received. Usually apps work on the national level. So you might be in Spain and the data goes to Portugal or any other country which is developing, and this is not good. So roaming requires that data goes to the proper place. GDPR is always there, of course, and there are concerns around this. Be aware in case of life-threatening situations, you already know the law allows information to be shared. But anyway, the citizen will control the data. So we'll be showing a kind of end-to-end situation in which we have the automated alert. Again, Annabella, the case in which it finds, and then we get the alert, reach the PSAP, and deploy to the response team, which has an app which can then see what's happening. Okay, Javi, can we then go to the pilot?
Yeah.
You want to
Give the floor to Ivan,
okay.
which is in Maryland.
So I should stop, I think, sharing, or
You should
No.
share.
Marco, you can manage the presentation.
Okay, so you tell me when to switch. That's good. Okay.
Yes.
So Ivan?
Okay, thank you, Marco. Hello, everybody. We are attending to this session from the 112 emergency center in Extremadura. So thank you them for that. First demo is gonna, as Marco is saying, is a roaming case where a Portuguese citizen needs to connect the 112 emergency services while he's visiting Extremadura. He suffers an injury, so he needs to do that. So next slide, please. Okay. Jose lives in Évora. He is planning to travel to Extremadura to visit some of the beautiful places there are. So he has also the AIMES citizen application installed in his smartphone. It's already set up with his data, and this application allows him to connect to the emergency services using a video call, chat, and file exchange. So next slide, please. On his first stop in Mérida, he decides to know the place by walking around. Next slide. However, he suffers an accident. He falls and twists his ankle. It hurts a lot. It does look like a very bad injury. So he decides to contact to the emergency services. So to do that, he's using the AIMES citizen application. Next slide. The 112 operator in Extremadura is receiving Jose's request to communicate, joined with his position, his data, and the languages he is able to speak, and the channels available to speak with him. The 112 operator attends the call, invokes every channel available, and initiates the communication. As Jose doesn't speak Spanish well enough, he chooses to use the chat channel to speak with the operator. In this channel, he is able to use his native language, Portuguese, and the 112 operator is receiving these messages in Spanish. Due to the translation feature, it's enabled in this feature. It works both ways. So when the 112 operator is answering Jose, the 112 operator is writing in Spanish, but Jose is receiving the messages in Portuguese. So during the conversation, the 112 operator asks Jose also to send a photo of his injured ankle in order to make a better assessment of the injury. So next slide. Well, with all this information, the operator is able quickly is able to make a good assessment and define the assistance required. Tells Jose to wait for the assistance in the same place where he is making the call, and after closing the call, the operator transfer the emergency incident data to the EMS, to the emergency services, in order to manage the situation. An ambulance is dispatched, and the ambulance reaches Jose easily, as the position, the accurate positioning the AIMES citizen application is managing allows them to reach him quickly and without error. So that's all. Please tell me when you are able to see my screen.
We can see you.
Okay, so on the left side of the screen, it is new. You are seeing the mobile, the real mobile with the AIMES application, AIMES citizen application in the mobile. And on the right side of the screen is the screen is managing the 112 operator in the emergency services. So right now we're going to make a call, and it's reaching. The 112 operator is answering the request. We can see the data of the user is calling and the channels available and the languages available. So, and the 112 operator is invoking every channel available. 112 112 Extremadura, ¿cuál es su emergencia? 112 Extremadura, which is your emergency, and it's also, while doing that, he's also writing in the chat, allowing to the user to choose which channel wants to use to communicate. So as I told you before, Jose doesn't speak Spanish well enough, so he chooses to to type in Portuguese in the. Okay, so as you can see, the 112 operator is receiving the message in Spanish. Okay, I'm gonna see. No, I need on vertical mode. Okay, so this is the last one is the message Jose has sent to the 112 operator. It is a type in Portuguese, and the 112 operator is receiving in Spanish. So let me make. I'm sending him another message. Oh, sorry. I'm asking him to send image of the ankle to assess to make a better assessment, and the image is sent. And well, I didn't see that coming. The painted nails that Jose is sending, but well, not judgment from here. So with this information, the 112 operator tells Jose.
Ivan.
Yes.
Can you put the app in front of the test? Because we are seeing the test messages now. Thank you very much. No, not necessary to move it. It's because when you were sharing, we were not seeing the screen of the mobile before. Now we see it very well. Thank you.
Okay. Let me. So you have seen, okay, you can see all the messages right now. This one was the one related to when I was asking him to send me the photo of the injured leg, and he has sent it the photo. With this information, the 112 operator is gonna tell him to wait for them. To wait where he is for the assistance to get him, and well, the call is end, and the ambulance is dispatched. Right. So you can see he is able to use all the channels, and especially the chat channel with the translation feature. Right. So it's a simple demonstration.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Now, with the problems of communications, but now we managed to see how it works. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. You are. I'm stopping I'm stopping sharing my screen, and you can manage the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I would say if there are any questions you would like to place now. Okay, colleagues, Simon, can you start then on your side?
Yeah, sure. I can at least give it a try. I mean, if there is connectivity issue, just shout out or tell me, and we try to make the best of it. But I'm Simon Jacobson from Omnitor, and I'm going to present the second demo then, or well, perhaps this will be the first one if we are going to redo the actual first one. But it's about a Swedish citizen that visits Portugal and makes a 112 call. It's based on the use case 5b that Marco previously presented. So please go ahead, you can switch slide. So in this use case, we have this main character. His name is Oliver. He's 19 years of age and born and raised in Sweden. However, he has a disability. He's hard of hearing. Due to his hard of hearing, he prefers to communicate using text channel. So he writes and read primarily. Also, he only really feel like writing and reading in Sweden. In Swedish, because he's you know, a little bit more comfortable with it due to his disability. Please go on to the next slide. Oliver decides to visit Portugal. So he travels from Sweden to Portugal, and you can give a little click. And with him on his journey, he takes the Swedish AIMES citizen app. Beforehand in Sweden, he has set up the app inserting some personal information, such as name, phone number, and that he wants to communicate using Swedish text. And then he takes this app with him as he goes to Portugal. So please, next slide. He arrives in Portugal, in Évora perhaps, and he starts to walk the street. And suddenly he witnesses a crime. A burglar runs into a store, grabs some money and make a run for it. You can make a little click. Oliver sees it and he's rather quick on his feet, so he takes up his smartphone and take a photo of the event. So he has a photo of the perpetrator making a run with the money. So you can go to the next slide. Oliver then decides, oh, perhaps I could turn on my camera. Can you guys see me as well? Tell me if it's like...
Yes.
We can see you.
We can see you, yes.
Okay. Well, Oliver contacts emergency services, and he uses the AIMES citizen app that he brought along with him. By using the AIMES system, this app will actually connect to the Portuguese peace app, or Évora's peace app in this case, and allow him to chat in his native language. So Oliver will be able to write and read in Swedish as he prefer. And will also be able to send the image of the perpetrator that took the money. So you can go to the next slide.
A few delays. I don't know, the network today is not so good.
Yeah, I do understand. So now I see it. So on the peace app side then, they will be able to get some information about Oliver. They can get his accurate location. And if Oliver were about to move around, they will also be able to see his position change. They should be able to get his name, like first name, last name, and so on. And most importantly, understand how he wants to communicate. In this case, through text then. It will also allow the peace operator to chat using their own language as well. So, for example, Oliver can write and read in Swedish, and the peace operator could use English or Portuguese language, and it will be automatically translated both ways. And of course, Oliver is able to share the image he took, and the peace operator will be able to forward this image to first responders so that they can easily go on and catch the perpetrator. So I will now go on and demonstrate this, and I will begin demonstrating it on Oliver's app, and then we will go on and show the peace app side. So 1 second, and I will try to share the iOS app. Can you see the screen? Perfect. So this is the Swedish AIMES citizen app, and as I said, Oliver has previously inserted some information in it about his how he wants to communicate, the name, and so on. So let's now imagine that Oliver is walking the streets of Évora, and he sees this burglar, and he takes up his phone, takes the photo, and then he's going to call the emergency services. So he takes up this AIMES app that you can see, and he presses the big bright red button. choose what camera and microphone to use and so on. But he will press the anslut button, which means connect in Swedish. And then it says that it's waiting for the partner, in this case, the PSAP, to connect. So please, Marco, go ahead and connect the call. And I will actually be quick and mute, because when the video comes on, it will be an echo otherwise. So now the PSAP, that is Marco in this case, has connected to the call, and he will be able to see that Oliver prefers to communicate in a written language. So please go ahead and write something to Oliver, Marco. Oh, you saw there's a little notification on the chat window, and Oliver sees this. He presses it, and there's a lot of messages that is received. He has received the original message, written in English, that says, "Hello, what is the nature of your emergency?" We also have it translated into both Portuguese and Swedish, so you can see some of you know the Portuguese language, but in Oliver's case, it's most important the Swedish one that says, "Hej, vad är din nödsituation?" which is the accurate translation of what is the nature of your emergency. Oliver goes ahead and writes an answer. He basically says, "Jag har sett ett rån och har en bild på förövaren," which translates to, "I've seen a robbery and I have a picture of the perpetrator." And the PSAP will respond then, "You may you send the picture?" and asking in Swedish, "Kan du skicka bilden?" So Oliver is going to send the picture, but we're going to switch side to the PSAP side that Marco is sitting on, so you can see the rest of this demonstration from the PSAP side instead of the app side. So it will be a little more diversity. So please, Marco, go ahead and share your screen instead. So what we see now is Marco's PSAP side, and to the very left you can see information about Oliver, his name, and that he wants to write and read in Swedish. You can see his phone number on the left. In the middle here we have his position, and you can see that he's walking around the streets of Évora. And to the right here we have the chat room where the messages we have been sending each other is seen. And he asked for the picture, so I will actually go ahead and send the picture from the phone. Go, and Oliver writes a message as well, telling them that it's done. Let's see if the image is uploaded. It can take a little bit. There we go. There's the picture. And as you can see, it's the image of the perpetrator. The PSAP then goes ahead and answers Oliver. And he writes back. And as you can see, the messages that the PSAP receives is written in English, which is the preferred language of the PSAP in this case. But it could be any language. And Oliver answers in Swedish, and it's translated back. There we go. So, and of course, the PSAP can switch between chat and the audio video if he wants to see Oliver by pressing the video call button, if it's possible. No, there could be some delays. I don't know if I'm seeing it or if there is an issue. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead and mute it. So they can easily switch between having audio, video, and chat. And because Oliver sent this image, let's imagine that they successfully catch the robber, and that they thank Oliver for his aid. And that's basically the demonstration of use case 5B. I hope it was rather easy to follow. So I will actually hang up the call now. And there will be an information that the emergency call closed by the caller. So I guess we are going to take some, if there are any questions about this demonstration.
Thank you, Simon. I think it was quite good. I don't know so we have a coffee break coming just to refresh a bit the rooms. So any questions that you'd like, we'll have a session for discussion and so on. But if there are any questions now, please, if you want to present. Yes, we got one.
So in this case, Oliver had to choose Swedish for translation, right? It wasn't automatic. So when he registered in the application, he chose Swedish. It wasn't automatically assigned the language, right?
You can select the language in the app.
Exactly. So it's not chosen for you. So it doesn't choose the language I'm from. I can choose it.
Yeah, you can just choose the language.
The citizen has the possibility to indicate their preferences. And in this case, he indicated that he would prefer to chat in Swedish. And that is the information that the PSAP receives, so he knows exactly how to communicate with the victim that is calling.
And then according to that setting, the translation is then automatically from Swedish to the PSAP.
Exactly. The automated translation kicks in and they are able to chat, although the PSAP operator does not know any Swedish.
Yes, and Oliver is able to choose not only what language he wants to communicate in, but also how, if he wants to use spoken language, written language, or even sign language.
So the capabilities would be, for example, here I selected, if I would like to have Portuguese.
Yeah, what is important is to maintain the original message. You know, this is exactly what the citizen transmit. Then the rest of translation services are help. Tools that can be used to help. And technology is contributing to help. The idea is not to substitute a person or a translator that could do it better. It's to help to do it. Okay?
So.
We have another question there also, yeah?
Languages are supported?
As these are automatic tools provided by cloud service providers, as Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and others.
Everything.
So everything. Basically, we didn't find a language that any of them don't have. Yeah. Please.
Yeah, just one question. So this is all text, right?
By the moment, yes.
Do you plan to include something like automatic voice recognition? Not audio translation, but
speech to text.
I cannot move for something I can speak.
Yeah.
And
Speech to text.
Yeah. Again, the idea of PEMEA, the European PEMEA network in general, and also the solutions that we are showing in the AIMES project, is to incorporate in a very easy way the technology that is available in internet. For that, the standard, which is PEMEA is an EDGENEERING standard, is specifying procedures that are HTTP-based, the typical procedure of internet, that allow to consume services that are in the cloud or are IP services. In this aspect, you know that we have today a set of real-time translation for voice services. We have some examples. Some of them have technology today and is improved day by day. Related to the sign interpretation, you also probably know the blocks that are able to interpret the movement of the hands. And the technology is improving every day. So the idea is not to reinvent the wheel here, is to reuse the existing technology or the new coming technology to incorporate everything in a very easy way to the technology that we have, constructing on top of what you already have. Okay. So the answer is maybe yes. In the near future, you will have language, voice, real-time translation. Probably you will have sign interpretation, but there could be the scope of a new research and development project.
Thanks.
Okay, so thank you a lot for the questions. I suggest we stop now for about 10 minutes. We have a bit of a break. I think we are almost on time, so it's good. So we would reconvene. So let's say our time 11:30, so a quarter of an hour, and then we can restart with the 2 demos and the discussion session. So thank you a lot, Simon, Thomas, great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And okay, break. So see you back in a while. Bye-bye. And it's about a medical incident which triggers automated alerts in a remote patient monitoring system. So let me describe the case, and I'll describe the setup that we'll be using. So we have a case of Annabella, a Portuguese citizen. It's a young with diabetes type 1. So she needs to monitor daily her glucose levels. And she is part of a group which is receiving care from the hospital, from the remote patient care team. So she uses the eCare app, which allows to manage her vitals. So whenever taking the readings from the device or manual or auto, it will record in the app. It will share the data with the monitoring team, and also is able to trigger automated alerts, alert the remote team of the incident. So Annabella is using a connected wearable glucometer medical device. It's the idea we have here is one of the things you patch on the app, and these things will then by Bluetooth will transmit the data to an app, and then we get the data and then we send it to the eCare app. Whenever there are readings which are abnormal or which raise concerns, so the app can trigger a vibration or alert to notify Annabella of the user. To mention that, so eCare, I mean, it's about other than the blood glucose level, it measures the heart rate, the blood pressure. If we talk about nutrition, measures the weight of a person, and so on. So it's a kind of a thing we can use for a multi-purpose environment. Okay, what happens in terms of the incident here is that one evening Annabella is not feeling well. She forgets to check the levels and she faints. This is very serious because then left untreated, so it can lead even to death in the most critical scenario, or even to a kind of a situation of life impaired due to the problem which was caused. Some statistics just to know it's not good. Yeah. Okay, so the idea for us is now we can have these automatic capabilities. We can have this alerting that we can also use, and you can have AIMES to the rescue, as we say. So what happens is that eCare receiving the reading from the medical device, it's able to detect it's an abnormal value, triggers the alert, counts a time. Let's say if there is a normal reading, but the person, let's say, it's still awake and can react, so you can cancel the alarm and treat the condition. If the person is not able to make any reaction, so it's something wrong, you want to notify. And the care team at the hospital will receive the alert and will also see the reading, which is an abnormal reading. So on the side of the remote hospitalization team, what we have is 2 systems, basically. So one is the eCare system, which and through here they can clearly see so the list of patients. We are using colors to amplify, so to augment the status. Green would be okay, and we are showing kind of a red or pink to say there is something wrong here. In addition to the color, so we can clearly see, in this case was a high blood glucose level, which was being the issue. And we augment the color with red to make it very clear. We are now putting another new system. This is what we are putting through AIMES, which is the incident call system. So in addition to the dashboard, which the team can follow the patients, through this incident call system when there is an alert. So you've seen how it happens for an emergency call. This would be for a kind of a notification for the remote care team that there is something wrong. So in the same way, you can see here at the bottom part, it's a bit too small. We can show you then later on through the computers, but it will show the name of the person, language, you'll know the language, but in any case, it's there. And very important is when there is an alert, what is causing the alert? And in this case, we send the message with information of okay, high blood glucose levels. We put the reading, and the medical team, which is looking into the dashboard, understands the value. No, this is a critical situation. This is a total new feature, which is very fresh, very new, and so far working robustly. It's beautiful because so what we have is a PSAP system. So it would be an emergency. We are able to create an incident file. And then this incident file, which is made everywhere from the PSAP side, then is shared with the EDGE solution, which then gives me the information I need to react. So we go then to those providing medical rescue. And you have is also an app in your hand. You see, okay, where is the emergency? Where the team is. All the information which comes from the incident is then put into the hands of the responder. It's a bit small, but I would say that in the notes you can see that there is thank you for that. So the location of the victim, the notes where there is the reading. I'll then pass the information of the victim, and very important on top there is a button which says, hey, I can respond to this emergency. Click it, and then it's assigned to this team. Once it's assigned, on the bottom part, you see a screen there. So you see the blue circle is where the team is, so your own location, and on the other side, it's where the victim is. We put a distance to show, how far you are. In the near future, we'll put route calculations, maybe in traffic information if you go to Google, but it's possible. So far, we put a line, and as the team will be approaching, you also see how close you are to the incident. So Miguel are going to put a vehicle. We could have done that, but it's maybe next, not now. It's already quite challenging. Okay, so what happens is then when the team goes to provide the rescue, they can also then open the app. They know what's happening. So it's a blood glucose level, go with insulin, you can do the treatment, and then through the app also we can close then the incident once it's met. So we have a management of the incidents which are being occurring. I wanted just to show you a lot of moving parts here. It's a very interesting system because it starts from medical devices. It goes through the eCare app, which is now augmented with the alerting feature. Goes through DigiRoom developed by our colleagues from Sweden, which give us the multimedia video capabilities, PEMEA infrastructure from everywhere, PSAP from everywhere, building up the case information, case incident. Also, we are putting the eCare, which allows for remote hospital monitoring, which is yet another system. It's also very interesting as the projects we are involved because this kind of incident information it's not standardized, but it's in the process of. It's something which will become open, and that's a way for us also to share information, either multi-agency. So if it's 112 or if it is ambulances, they can share it, or even international. When we talk about cooperation with Spain, our neighbors, or someone else. Okay, so from the PSAP, we go back then to EDGE eSafer information. We want to make this you are also visualizing. In here, we'll show you the vision of one responder, which has on the app visibility about the incident. And then it goes to 0.7, the safer responder app, which then it's something which is put in the ambulance or in the vehicle. So you have the location by GPS or GNSS, and then as you go, this is being updated. So these are the moving parts, and I think it's after 2 years of work. Let's see. Let's see. Okay.
Live demo.
Live demo. I need to understand also the parts which we'll be using. Now, what's the best way we do? I need to share my screen, and I need to share. Let me see. And to show you. Okay, let me show you first for everybody to understand. First, for the audience, the eCare app, which has been extended. Oh, it's totally not visible.
No.
Now it is.
More or less, yes.
Shows the map of the person. This is the citizen. This is the person which would have the. I'll then show you closer. So, but this is one app which will give to the patient. And this app, it has been extended to show the location. It's important for when we talk about emergencies, but it's also possible to incorporate medical information. It's very tricky. It's not sure. I don't know. Maybe it should have light. I think I know what's wrong. A bit better.
Yeah.
So I can just put information about vitals and blood cause level and so on. You'll know these bits from the eCare app, a bit with the different UI. But this is the app which is with the patient. We will have also the eCare dashboard, which I'll show next, and we have also the thing to answer the calls in an alarmistic way, which is called the PSAP. And then on the other hand, what we have is a tablet. This is what stays with the responder. And for the responder, it's very important to have a map, location, and you'll see at some. These are the parts which are mobile. I'll just put, and we'll start playing with it. Now, the things which will be running on the side of the team. Let me just prepare the environment. I'll be sharing my screen, and to make the experience also a bit better for the audience remote, I'll put a screen of the mobile phone. Bear with me just a bit. Okay, I'm going now to share my screen. And it has to be the full screen. So, okay. So the moving parts. The app, I think you don't have any more. You have the video. The app, it's replicated also on the screen. This is for you to see. It's a bit with a lag, but you'll see it somewhere moving.
Yep.
The eCare, this is the environment which as an app, which you have in the hospital for testing purposes. It's live system. We are following, these are anonymized people, so patients would be edge 2, 3, 4, just a name. We don't want to map who the person, everything this is for testing. And through the dashboard, I can see the overall status of people, of the patients with the use of colors. This should be in one screen, dedicated screen, always on. Then we should have another screen, which will be the PSAP, which is also on all the time. And this is where we receive the alarm. So if something goes wrong, you'll see a call being there, and then there should be someone, okay, what's happening? Usually the process is someone, we have an emergency call, there is a call taker which gets the emergency and then asks what's something might be wrong, and then you want to act. This is usually how it works. But there's always a verification mechanism with the caller. Okay, the other part, which is a tablet, will be run on the live tablet. I'll not be replicating here. So, if I want to put a new reading, so I'll just go through the app, and let's say now the person wants to update the blood glucose. Let's say I put something like 2094. It's updating. And then if you go to the dashboard, we can see that the information has been updated. This was a reading which was put by the person, and then it appears on screen. This happens the same if it would be a heart rate measurement or a blood pressure, the reading would appear. In the case, so I don't have a real device, so I'll be simulating if there is an abnormal reading. I have to do it with the app. Oh, yeah. Let me put the. So let's say that I'll go to a very high value, 297 or 6 or 8, but this is very high. So in save. So the process of automated call will be automatically initiated. Timeout, which would allow the person to cancel if they could react. We could put the high timeout with more time. I put not to waste too much time, just a shorter time. So what happens now? There is the alert is triggered. In the eCare dashboard, I immediately see, oh, there is a lag, that there will become red with the new reading. So with the dashboard, you already see there is an issue. Then, if we have the call answering side on the PSAP, then I see there is a call. Okay, some delay with the number which was provided by the phone. I see where the person is. Well, we will be on the same place. It's a bit disappointing because it's all on top of each other, but if there will be distance, you see some distance. So this is where we are, Hospital do Espírito Santo. We see information about the user. We are using English because we have an international setting here. Very important, if I click on the IoT, this was a new capability added for this project. I can see, sorry, this is a very small text, but this is an automated emergency call. It's made on behalf of 9 @002 with phone number. The phone number is important to try to do the reverse contact. This is always very important. And then critical is blood glucose is 298. Hyperglycemia, this is very critical. Please help. This is automatic. So we are providing automatic call, information about the caller, and information about the incident. Because you need to know what you need to react to. Then we can create an incident. I think I can now put this on full mode. Let me just, this will be so what the PSAP caller would. Immediate assistance. It's always important to have the human in the loop to put an assessment because then it's a bit more valid. So you have something automatic. Okay, what does this mean? You want to validate and then, okay, this is critical. Just send someone there right now. What is automatic? I don't have to write again the victim information because this is received. So I'll just select the person which was involved is a victim. So now share the incident. First create. Now share the incident. And this is the element in which now through the system of everywhere, the PSAP, now it is shared to Edge paper. Now I have to put the camera and stop sharing, probably. We go to the list of cases. This is very small, so I'll show you later on. And what we have is something green which appears on top. This is the new list of old things. On green on top, it's the new, it's the active one. This is the one we want to see what's happening. So we select the green one, and then we see information about the incident, which I'll show you later on. This was what you could see in the slides. Location of the by the person or of the house, if this would be a date and time. Notes. The notes is what the person filled in the system. Information about the victim and some other information. Very important. So the responder, so the team, he says, okay, I received this emergency. I'm close by. I can claim the emergency. And there will be ways to prevent if two people try to put on the same time. So there will be a kind of a bidding process if you want. But currently it's one, and now it's assigned to the responder. We'll be on the same side, on the same place, so it's on top of each other. So it's not so visually appealing as having a kind of a distance, but what's being seen is the location of the tablet, the location of the incident, while we're in the same place. So it would be easy to answer this one. If we want to see the details of the incident as well, we can also then click on top, and the information is then made visible. Sorry, this is not the ideal setting, but at least for you, so in the room, you can play with the system, you can try it if you want. And that's pretty much the demonstration. So when the incident is answered, I can then do a close in the button, and the incident now becomes not visible anymore, it's solved. So we go back to the screen where the team is, and if new incidents are created, new incidents will appear on the tablet. What we are not showing yet is the screen where you see the whole picture of the situation. So this is something we'll be developing soon. This is now the tablet for a responder, but there will be also a vision. This is a bit on a bigger screen, on a powered computer, to give you the picture of everything that's happening, which will be quite interesting. Okay, so let me resume what has happened in very practical terms. So when you think about innovations, it's very important to consider about the benefit it can bring to society and to lives. And we are bringing innovative features to be able, I mean, in here it's the extreme to even save lives. If not to save lives, to really prevent that incapacitating situations might occur. If we not been on time, this could go very wrong for Annabella. We are bringing an automated capability, so to provide the alert as soon as possible, information about the location, medical information, which allows for what's going wrong, and with a better preparation to respond to the incident, and by being faster, so we can save lives. This is a case extreme in the situations of diabetes. We had already talks. I mean, people which have elder people at home, even with something very simple, if they fall, it can be very serious, because if they hurt they bleed, and or they can break a bone. So I mean, so many things which can happen. Talk about also fires, which can have in a house. So whatever you can do, which can really help saving lives, I think it's something to do, to try and to adopt. And this is when talking about, so why are we going to use IoTs and automated and also many issues? Because it's beneficial at the end for people's lives and for society in overall. This is the argument. Okay. And now we would go for the discussion session. My idea is, I mean, now it's free mode. So hit us with questions, with suggestions, with comments, anything you want. For us to manage, we can manage very well here on the room, because we are with everybody here. Remotely, if you want to intervene, just raise your hand. Javi will be just managing, and then just to avoid that many people are trying to speak, which is confusing. So feel free also to put something on chat by text. So let the discussion begins then.
Let's start by the people connected through Teams, if you like. If anybody like to intervene, please unmute or send a message through the chat.
Or scan or something.
Yeah, please, Evangelos, you raise the hand. Please ask your question.
I would like to ask a simple question that most probably I know the answer, so it's just for promoting roles, I would say. How you see the ability that you have, that you are over the top in current service? I think that this can be a competitive advantage compared to other solutions that are pushing for a lot of years to take the lead in emergency communication. Do you think that what you have shown can be, let's say, the future of emergency? And just elaborate on that. It could be good.
You want to say?
I can say, okay, Javi will comment as well. So on my side, what I can say is that this over-the-top capability, this over-the-top meanings we have services like Skype, which are on top of the network to reach innovative services. There can be a very huge benefit, which has been relatively low cost to adopt compared with solutions which just will affect the whole infrastructure, for example. I would be bold to say that it's, let me say, relatively simple, as simple goes, but to implement these kind of features in a way that also can be extended. So there are no excuse. This is not a costly system. This is not a hard to make system, and it complements even very well the traditional systems. I think it's very important to still support the traditional mode with typical voice calls. They are very robust, we know how they work, but you can augment and amplify with the new features which are needed, I would say, and especially with younger generations. They will not go on voice, I'm sure. They will go on WhatsApp or texting or chat or whatever else, but not on voice. So yeah, Javi, if you want.
Yeah, basically to complement. Or are these kind of multimedia channels? How internet technologies are contributing to connect us in a better way. So we need to be on board of this tendency. Emergency services need to be on board of this. But always in a secure and controlled way. That's why there is a body, a standardization body in Europe, which is called HESE, which is in charge of defining the way that internet applications should connect to the emergency services in general. This standard is called PEMEA, which is the basic communication framework to allow these wonderful apps to give a service to the society. Okay, so the key point here is that we are showing how internet technology can leverage to be to add to the emergency ecosystem value. Okay, so how I see the future? Basically, if we manage to spread this technology to all Europe, I see a future in which the communication is not a barrier anymore. I see a future in which the apps that are coming better and better get part of the emergency situation solution. It's up to us as technology providers, as citizens, to adopt it, basically. And we are doing our job. We just need to put the proper effort to make it happen. Thank you, Evangelos. I hope
thank you. Yeah.
A question here in the room, please.
Yeah, so I saw 3 illustrations of very interesting applications. I can see how interesting it would be to have all this that we could make useful in short terms. My question for you is, what are the challenges that you see to adopt these technologies on a short time frame? So what are the challenges so that we can have this implemented, validated, accepted by
from my view, which is of course limited, and from my view and our experience, there are a lot of challenges. Challenges are at the PSAP side, an emergency response organization who should adopt the new technologies into his operation procedures. Is something that it could be easy for young people, not so easy for other people that are not so used to manage the technology. We also need to front the challenges related to security and privacy data protection, which there are many discussions in Europe around how we can protect the information, how we can will be able to manage it into the emergency organizations, how to protect that this is not going to the wrong hands. So many challenges are there. We are solving them, but they are still there, and we need to front them. And also among the population, there are barriers. So we have seen that the emergency situation as this pandemic make us to front them, and we get used to use this kind of technology. We have seen with the grandson or daughter, we have seen a lot of people joining efforts and getting in touch through applications. So although the mass and the general public is a concern, I think step by step they will adopt also this kind of technologies. So at the end, we have challenges in all the value chains, in all the chain, basically. But the good thing of this technology is that we always build on top of them. So you have a base of technology, people adopt it. Then you have improvements, people don't know how to use it. Then they learn, and you again can build on top of it, and you are continuously improving. So this kind of projects, European projects like AIMES, are teaching us about how to have new technology, involving all the stakeholders. We have people here of the medical services. We have also PSAP 112 operators. We have technology providers. We have citizens of many countries. This is an example, a demonstration of that it's technically viable to do it. Now, the challenges are the penetration of this, the adoption of these technologies, step by step. Thank you. Any other question?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Following the last question about the last demo, do you think that because it requires constant monitoring, so you have to be connected all the time, do you think that would be people would be willing to accept that? Do you think, or do you predict that would be what are your perspectives on that?
So if it is a remote patient monitoring, I would assume that the protocols existing, so a person would accept the benefits of being monitored. This is a perhaps. Sorry, the question was whether people will accept being monitored all the time up to this level. So I'm saying that in a hospital setting environment, I would assume that patients would be willing to have the benefit of the service if it is good for their well-being in overall. If people, so in this case it's very special because they need to be monitored, so they would accept, I would assume. I would say that it's also important is in a normal setting, now nothing so requiring constant monitoring. It can be an issue for people to trust whether they would be monitored all the time. I think it's important for our side, so is to ensure that the person is in control of the data. I wonder is at the point in which we have a life-threatening situation, you know, we must act, right? So usually and as the law goes in Portugal, in Spain, maybe I think all of Europe, you need to make all the necessary actions to save lives. So at the end, the judgment is whether we are doing a good use of the system, if the data is used when it's critical to be available for a normal citizen. In a hospital setting, I think that's a person can go at home in good conditions of the home and still be willing to be monitored. I think it will be well accepted. As a note, yeah, it requires communications. So on one of the things about this system is you need to have internet. So, and the internet is still not globally adopted. That's also a barrier when we talk about the conditions to adopt. Well, we can always rely on a good old phone, even it's possible to do some heuristics. What I would say is that we have the new capabilities to also use them and exploit them. I hope it's.
We have also a question through the chat coming from Stilianos Klados. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it well. Of the messages, we have seen in the second pilot that the app received several languages in the translation. Then is asking if is not kind of confusing these messages in several languages. You are right. The app that we have shown is basically a demo to show the viability of the translation. Typically, the app is managed and is set up with a language. If I am Spanish, I put the app in Spanish. If I am Swedish, I put the app in Swedish. The translation that I receive typically goes and is done to my language. Here in this demo, we like to show the power of the technology, and we have put there several translations. This is not the real way to proceed. The citizen will receive the translation just in his language. The app, in addition, typically have the capability to maintain also the original language. It depends in the case on the app implementation, but they typically has an option to put the original language and the translated language in many cases. Thank you. Any additional question in the room or through the Teams?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I have a question about the last presentation.
Okay.
We saw the full circuit through the answer of the emergency team. But there's something else going on after that. Mm-hmm. So the person may have to go to the hospital. The integration team can the hospital, the emergency hospital, see what has been done.
Okay. Well, and route, let's say, and transport.
Yeah,
no,
so
actually, the person responds to the emergency.
Imagine there's something. The person goes to the hospital. They call the hospital. They are going there.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's some kind of prevention team. Even if there's more or less zero. So what has been done, any kind of treatments or medication, should be the information that could be vital to the team that is going to take care of the health.
Okay.
Treatments next to do the day job. Is there anything prepared see that information.
So for the response team to see the information about medication.
Yes, one of the things that we are going to try to do, and we are already involved in a new project that will explore that, is possibility when the e-safer is on and the paramedics are accompanying the person that is in distress, they are able to provide a treatment, and then they decide that they have to take the person back to the hospital. When they enter the information of how they treated the patient on site, this information will automatically be given to the eCare system within the hospital. And automatically the team that is on call will have information about this new incoming patient and all the, not only what created the incident that drove it to go to the hospital, but also which type of treatment he has been provided by the paramedics that assisted him at home. So this is one of the key issues. And even if during the traveling into the hospital, the situation worsens, then there is an automatic capture of the new data and the possibility to send this information also to the hospital, so that when the patient arrives at the hospital, they have up-to-date information on the condition of the patient.
It's AIMES to.
Yeah.
AIMES to.
Here, there is the change of the emergency case in general and all the data that are related to it. It's a question that is, has been always on the desk of the standardization. Okay? The definition of a single format to compile all the information about an incident is being done for a while, and now we have a standard in the MENA, in the North America organization, emergency organization, that is called the EIDO, Emergency Incident Data Object, which is in charge of compiling everything new related to the incident. Okay? And this information is, or contribution to the case, are added by each application that is connected to the system. This means that you can share in real time, or almost real time, between all the emergency response resources, all the data related to the emergency case. And remember that this is multimedia. You can add links to access to videos, you can add links to access to the medical device information. The technology allows you to compile in a single repository, in a single emergency incident object, all the information and the status of the response to the emergency. Okay.
We might see this so in this. What interesting to understand is when we have collaboration between different agencies or different countries, they can share information using this format, which is something publicly available. Let me make a question then on my side, then on the other way around for our end users. Let's say from your perspective, how you see that this, what you see about this kind of features, capabilities, risks maybe as well. It would be good for us. So I will start with this room and maybe with the people which are in the audience, whether they can. How can you give us some feedback on what's been done?
I think there's some challenges here.
Yeah.
Because we were talking near the coffee. There's some challenges here because the technology is there. You can see it's working. Maybe some issues that need to be fixed or adapted to some kind of situation that are not seen or didn't show up yet. That's a very reality. But there's the other end that is very important. It's how to put this technology on the process that already exists, on the teams and institutions that do this manage the response teams, and how they integrate with the other systems, and the mechanisms and all the standards that they already have to ensure that they do a good or the great or best job they can. Because this is something else, something new. So there needs to be an interaction of what's in our mind or in the mind of the project, the leaders and members of the project, to put this on the real scenarios.
Yeah.
What they see, what's our idea about it. That's very important, or even more important than deploying the technology.
So just as because you will be far away, just helping the audience there. Yeah, one of the challenges. So this is all new. We can see the technology is there, pretty much. There's still the challenge of integrated what we are doing here with the information systems existing in the organizations, which is also in the processes as well. That's true, and that's something we will want to work on it for sure. So to make it things more integrated, more fluid between the systems we are developing and what the organizations have, to make avoiding redundant have to. Yeah, and this is to be avoided.
Not only this,
Mm-hmm.
the process.
And the processes, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any more comments or?
I would say something on top of what was said, which was about interoperability, and now I'd like to just make a comment on scalability. Because here you see an example of
yes.
for the hospital, and I can imagine that another example. Let's imagine that the person that get the episode who start coming to the hospital, but then hospital for some reason gets all this capability full and cannot rely more to that situation. Scalability of this system to manage multiple sites could be an interesting integration feature, because in a national system, response must be integrated, especially as we see in COVID situation. So it's just a comment. It's not a remark or it's nothing. I think you're doing a great job. I think something that we should consider for future.
Thank you, Pedro. The comment on scalability of the system so that it can also serve perhaps at the national level and multi-agency to be able to cope with things which are big, high demand. Okay, anyone else or from the audience?
Nobody else?
Very quiet.
From the audience by now?
Okay, it's lunchtime maybe. We also want to go to lunch, so let's go to the closing session then. Will be very quick. I think the highlights have been, highlights, yes, so in my head. So highlights have been demonstrated. Let me just show you a bit of the, let's say, summarizing. I think you can also, you can see the screen. So what we have is demonstrate this, when you talk about PEMEA, so in this kind of infrastructure, it's important for you to know this is something which can operate at European level. In context, more and more connected with, even with COVID, I mean, we still travel, we still have freedom of movement, and we want Europe and European citizens as well to enjoy Europe in overall. We cannot think about a closed environment, closed border, and say we have services in Portugal which are just for Portuguese people, or in Spain or in France, or this is European context. And PEMEA gives us the European context, which is always very important to consider. We also showed about the public alerting in a very rich ways, so which can be translated, multimedia and so on. We can be also in roaming scenarios to work quite nicely. When I talk about superior accessibility, for me this is about having capabilities for citizens, which allows them to communicate in the way they can and they want. Keywords are a system which is universal, democratic, equal, and inclusive. The example is if I have a deaf citizen which wants to reach the 112, they should be able to do it in the same way as a normal citizen. No pre-registration, no strange links, be able to do it. If someone, by some reason, does not want to communicate in voice, and I can give you an example. I mean, when we analyze the number of use cases, let's say we are in a dangerous situation. This, typically now it has been more and more talked about domestic violence or a terrorist attack, if you want, or with someone with an armed gun. You don't want to go to voice because it makes sounds, so you might want to text in a hidden position. So you want to contact 112, give information, but do not make noise or sound. And this is the way we see it. So on these capabilities we are mentioning. So we are also in addition, so having with systems which are linking at home with home care platforms, remote hospitalization, and then the ability to provide automated mechanisms which can save lives, as we've seen, either by medical devices or by devices which detect, could be the oxide monoxide.
Carbon monoxide.
Now I missed carbon monoxide, yes, which can give personal and medical data. We are also showing the capabilities to link to the response, which is very important. So the thing to be efficient goes end to end. Starts on the caller, piece up, responder in a fast way, clear information, and go. And I think it's important also to mention for those who want to try new things, to know that they have a safe environment to do it, which is a validation test bed. You can set it up very easily. You've seen here. So we have people in Spain, people from Sweden. We here on site in Portugal. Some hiccups, but you've seen the system working, and quite nicely, I would say, in overall. Everywhere.
Yep, maybe to add to what Marco says, we have shown how we can leverage the app and the PEMEA, the European PEMEA network, which is using available internet communication technologies to offer reliable and low-cost emergency management solutions involving citizens, involving PSAPs, and also involving first responders. We have demonstrated along these couple of years how easy is for the public safety answering points and also the involved emergency organizations to integrate these apps solutions. A single integration with the PEMEA network is enough for them to communicate using multimedia with any emergency app compatible with the standard. There is no need, there is no integration per app. Just a single integration with PEMEA is valid for all the apps. This is quite important. And we have also shown progressively improve pilot chains, but also integration of new IoT devices, which might be wearables or not, which might be very specific medical devices or largely used wearable measuring the heartbeat. Okay, all of them quite easy to be used by the call takers. So in summary, my comment on this is that with a very fast, low-cost, and simple integration, adapting user interfaces and consuming some APIs, the app can adapt their technology to front and to manage these new multimedia communication channels. Maybe that's it.
Thank you. Colleagues from Omnitor, Thomas, I think, if you can.
Yes, thank you. I will speak briefly on Omnitor's contributions to this project. Throughout the project, Omnitor has contributed with technical expertise and developed several apps and the middleware that links everything to PEMEA. First, we created the AIMES demo app to demonstrate the technical possibilities to the project at an early stage. Then we created the AIMES Citizen app for both Android and iOS, which aims to create a fully fledged, easy-to-use app that citizens can use. Through the app, people can quickly get in touch with emergency services and send and receive information in a simple way. The app also allows citizens to receive public alerts seamlessly and enter information on how they want to communicate. For example, this could be a deaf person requesting to communicate only through text or requesting a sign interpreter, as you previously mentioned. In parallel with the apps, the middleware was designed to manage all the data between the apps and the PEMEA infrastructure. Integrated into the middleware is our service Digiroom to enable the communications through video, audio, and text during the call with emergency services. Thank you all for the good job and partners for putting this pilot together.
Thank you, Thomas. Thanks a lot also for your work. Barbara, please.
Yes, so with respect to engineering and going back to the issues that are presented in the beginning of our workshop. So basically what we developed throughout the AIMES project, and this is basically what you are going to be also providing through our offer to our customers, is the fact that we have been involved specifically in the introduction of IoT technology within the emergency systems, within the response to specific emergencies, namely in the medical area, and also our mobile applications that are involved in providing emergency response. So our eCare system is able now to be integrating IoT-enabled automated alarms or alerts, and these are able to early detect life-threatening situations and be able to actually save lives while sharing specific data that have to do with the emergency that they are basically detecting and providing to the emergency services. And on the other hand, we have been developing this Évora app for first responders, allowing this end-to-end communication and information flow between all parts that are involved in emergency response, allowing them to have more improved awareness of the emergency and be able to basically have adapted resources on when to properly respond to specific incidents. So I would say that in general terms, AIMES has been able to provide us with leverage in our products and more competitive. So we are not only just providing this type of new scientific advances in research and the innovation, but also that we can make a true difference in the lives of many of our citizens and our lives. So basically, this is what we wanted to say. You can still follow AIMES on our social media, both on Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course, in our official website, and you will have all the information pilot, but also all the activities that AIMES has been developing for the last 2 years. So I would like just to thank everyone involved here in the making of this specific pilot, specifically as the hospital that has so graciously welcomed us and allowed us to perform this pilot here, involving their own systems and being present here. And also all of you that took the time to assist and to participate in this workshop and in these demonstrations. And we are looking forward to continue working with you, collaborating probably in an AIMES to see how the future of emergency services in Europe is going to turn out. So thank you so much.
Right, so the pilot is closed. Thank you also from my side for all the help assistance. And now we have a very nice lunch. So for those not here, I'm gonna tell you I'm missing a really good lunch. Évora is the best place to be when it's to have lunch or dinner and so on. Well,
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.